Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today is Monday Fun Day.
I stop what you're doing, cause I'm about to ruin the image of me that you're used to. I look money, a king bee making honey, see? Each state, I hope you're ready for me. Now gather round, I'm the new sheriff in town. All my people rise up and stand your ground. Now drink up all the Diet Coke you got on your shelf. So just let me introduce myself, my name is Trump D. I like my mashed potatoes lumpy. Fake news, oh how I like the punk thee. That little sniper on the slope tin, he took a shot but he missed me. I don't fall, y'all, I'm like the ever ready bunny. Still going strong and spunky. So put on your big boy pants. Come on, let's do the dance.
The Trumpy dance is your chance to do the Trump.
Come on, do the Trumpty Trump. Come on and do the Trumpty Trump. Check me out, y'all. We do the Trumpty Trump. Just watch me do the Trumpty Trump. Yeah. Do you know what I'm doing? We do the Trumpty Trump. Come on, everybody do the Trumpty Trump. It's time to do the Trumpty Trump. Yeah.
That's right, folks. We're doing the Trumpty Trump as President Donald Trump continues to win for America. And that's really the thing, is I'm not just, when I say that we're celebrating winning, it's not just because Donald Trump is winning. It's because America is winning. Despite what the mainstream media will tell you, things are going pretty darn well during the Trump administration. It's the reason why, his approval ratings for him are at highs. And they're at highs because there are some people who are not going to like him no matter what. And you know what? You have every right to be that way. But the truth is the truth, the facts are the facts. And those of us who recognize and appreciate all that the president is doing, well, let's just put it this way. We're going to celebrate. At least I know I'm going to celebrate. How about that? Anyway, folks, it's just going to be us today. Mike may be joining us a little bit later on in the program, out doing the work thing, trying to make them dollar bills, y'all. But I'm here, you're here. We're taking your comments live on the program. If you're watching us 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, if you're watching us live during those hours, go ahead and comment. Let us know what you have to think about the topics we're talking about today, about the show in general, or maybe you just want to give a shout out about where you'll let folks know where you're from and why you're watching. Go ahead and do that, and I will be monitoring the comments. And hey, if we like what you have to say, if we find it to be interesting, then we'll go ahead and we'll share it with the audience. You don't have to agree with us. All we care about is that it's interesting. But just do know that if you disagree, well, just know that I do reserve the right to mock you. As Mike would say, we will mock you. Because it's like that. Anyway, we're going to have a good time today. But before we do, we've got to start off with a quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with the folks over at Hitman Industries. They make rifle and pistol caliber barrels available at any length for you to purchase. If you've purchased an AR in the last few years, chances are you already have one of their rifles or one of their barrels. Might as well get another one. If you're looking to do a brand new build, or if you're looking to rebuild your current rifle, let me just tell you, go to hitmanindustries.net. Then you've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all level of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. They have the national conferences coming to California for the National Federation of Republican Assemblies. You're going to want to check them out. Go to cragop.org. That's cragop.org. Go there, check them out. Ronald Reagan referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. Trust me, you're going to want to check them out today, because if you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. Then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market. That's right, you will find them at hogholsters.com. Just go to hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com. And get your holster today. And if you use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, one word, no spaces, just like it is right up there, you're going to get a discount on us. So remember, go to hogholsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, if you're looking for outdoor gear, if you're looking for summer gear, if you're maybe planning ahead and looking forward to the winter or the fall, maybe you just need whatever kind of tactical gear you're looking for. You want to get your group together, get your agents together, get your unit together, and head on over to uscombatgear.com. There you will find a huge selection of tactical gear. You will find competitive prices and the best customer service available on the market. Go there today. uscombatgear.com, where you can find all things tactical except the gun. All right. You may have heard about the story about the event this happened over the weekend, where an individual not attempted to. He went into a Walmart and went on a stabbing spree. Wound up stabbing 11 people. That's right, 11 people. And the interesting thing about it is that in the end, what wound up stopping him were, number one, some citizens, but specifically, it was a good guy with a gun. Check it out.
Investigators are releasing new details about a mass stabbing spree yesterday at a Walmart in Traverse City, Michigan. Thankfully, all of the victims are expected to survive. The attack sent 11 people to the hospital, 2 of them in serious condition. Authorities say 42-year-old Bradford Gilly will face terrorism charges. Video shows bystanders confronting him armed with a folding knife outside the store as one man pointed a gun at him. Investigators are looking into a motive.
I was right there. I saw the knife, but I got out of his way in time. And it seemed like all of the people who got stabbed and got attacked were people who couldn't physically get out of his way.
I want to acknowledge that there was citizen involvement in assisting in taking the individual into custody.
Walmart released a statement saying, quote, violence like this is unacceptable and will continue working closely with law enforcement during their investigation.
Now, the interesting thing about, once again, about this particular story is you notice now you've got the New York Post, which tends to be right of center. I don't see Fox News was on here, but you notice it says here, let's look at Madman who allegedly stabbed 11 people in sick rampage at Michigan Walmart ID'd. Walmart stabbing suspect faces terrorism charges. Suspect in Traverse City Walmart stabbing attack faces terrorism charges. Walmart employee recalling stabbing spree. Still can't believe this. A man accused of stabbing 11 people at a Walmart in Michigan, authorities in custody. Mass stabbing in Michigan. What we know about the suspect. You notice in not one of these stories is there any mention of a good guy with a gun. The fact that there was an individual who was there, who was armed, a Marine. There were a couple of Marines who actually were involved in trying to get this guy, but the one who eventually put a stop to him was a Marine with a gun. And this particular guy, once again, you don't see or you don't hear anything about him in most of the mainstream media. In some of the local news stories, they show you who he is. They show you his. They show you his. They show you his picture and all that stuff. And it was funny because I'm watching, and I don't spend a lot of time on social media just because it can be a very negative place. But it can. But I just noticed that in both my Twitter feed, my Facebook feed, even in Instagram, I noticed this brother with dreads just in the teal green shirt just kept showing up, and I didn't know what he was until I actually read the story. Come to find out, it was a guy who was the former Marine who stepped up and helped to put a stop to this. And this is the incident. This is the scenario that people on the left, that the gun grabbers tell you doesn't happen. In their eyes, according to them, this actually never happens. Nobody ever stops. No good guy ever stops a bad guy with the gun. If you were to have them tell it, right? If you were to have them tell it, well, nope, sorry, doesn't happen. But you and I know it happens. You and I know that it happens, well, all the time. Well, not all the time. About 2 million times a year it happens. In any case, anyway, it's just really interesting. It's interesting because they don't want to let you know that this stuff happens. And once again, I don't understand how we can have a conversation with the other side about sensitive topics, about important topics, if there's a fundamental disagreement about the truth or what is true. And there is one side that is telling you the truth, or at least they're getting closer to telling you the full truth and nothing but the truth. And then there's the other side, which is flat out lying to you. And I can be honest with you. Yeah, no, I can't be. I'm always honest with you. But the left are the ones who are completely lying to you. They are completely ignoring various different facts and things like that occur that are occurring. Like, for example, these are the same folks who push the narrative that all cops are racist and are out there just shooting black men at will. What they will not tell you is that the number of black men that have been shot, for example, unarmed black men who have been shot in the last year, There's less than a dozen of them. They won't tell you that. They won't tell you that you are like 400 to 500 times more likely to be shot and killed by another young black man than you are to be shot by a law enforcement officer. They won't tell you that, right? They just won't. They won't tell you that, when it comes to poverty, they tell you, oh, well, the poor, the poor, the poor, and the poor are getting poorer, but they're not. And what they also won't tell you is that most of the people who are in the bottom quartile of income earners, only about 18% of them will still be there in 20 years. Most will have moved out. Many will have moved up multiple rungs. Because when you start measuring income, when you start measuring wealth and income, it most people, I hate to say this, don't stay where they are. The younger you are, you generally tend to stay in low income. You generally tend to be in low income because guess what? You haven't earned anything. You don't know anything. But as you get older, you develop skills, you develop marketability, and you're able to solve more problems, and people are able to pay you to solve those problems or to meet those needs. But they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that the people who are in the top 1%, it's almost never the same group of people year over year. Decade over decade, it's definitely not the same people. The overwhelming majority of most billionaires and billionaires are actually brand new or relatively new. But once again, they don't want to tell you that because they're lying to you, right? They are just flat out lying to you because they want you to believe that society is against you, that you don't have an ability to have anything or be anything, that you don't have the ability to say or be anything without them, without the government stepping in and intervening. And it looks like we have a guest with us today on the program. This is my grandson right here. This is Jason, and he has just walked into my studio because his mother is not paying attention. Just kidding, y'all. Yeah, and here's Jane. She's here too, having a very, very good time. They've been wanting to come in here and be on the program for quite a while, but especially Jane. Jane loves being on the program. She's been on the show before. But anyway, but we're having anyway. Like I said, as you can see, we're having a real good time here on the program. Now back to the news of the day. This next story, it kind of goes hand in hand with the first story. Because, why is this happening? Why is the left so upset? Why are they so upset about Donald Trump winning? Right? I mean, think about this. I told you before, I started the program by saying Donald Trump is winning. And when I say winning, I don't just mean he's getting his way. I mean, he is making deals. He is doing things that are benefiting Americans. And yet, for some reason, the far left, they are just losing their ever-loving minds as a result of it. Here's a story over at Breitbart. It says, far left Axios angry America came out ahead in Trump trade deals. Far left Axios seems pretty upset over President Trump's triumphant trade deal with the European Union. Axios is also claiming without evidence that Trump's trade deal with Japan is bad for U.S. automakers. Quote, is the Trump-dominated global economy the U.S. Oh, I'm sorry. In the Trump-dominated global economy, the U.S. gets plenty, but gives nothing in return. Laments Axios, as though that's a bad thing. Axios seems confused by the term America First and seems to think of themselves as citizens of the world instead of Americans. You might think I sound like someone, some kind of a nationalist, which I am. I'm reading, this is Nolte who's writing this over at Breitbart. But I only subscribe to the Trump strain of nationalism with a healthy idea that every country should become nationalist, meaning each country should look out for itself first. Japan should be Japan first. Mexico should be Mexico first. If every country put itself and its citizens first, the world would improve immeasurably. Too many countries and their busybody leaders see themselves as global citizens, and that has led to the ongoing decline of Western civilization. Barack Obama was never an American president. He saw himself as a global president, and the results were catastrophic at home and abroad. And I happen to agree with that perspective. It's kind of like, and once again we've said this before. It's kind of like when you're flying on an airplane, and they always, the steward, the flight attendant, I'm not called a stewardess anymore. The flight attendant does the whole safety thing, and they say, look, when the oxygen mask drops down, put your mask on first, and then help the person next to you. It doesn't say help the person next to you first, then put your mask on. Why? Because if you don't put your mask on, if you don't take care of you first, you could potentially pass out. And if you pass out while trying to help them and they can't get their mask on, then they pass out. Then you both wind up passing out and potentially dying. Being self-interested is not selfish. In other words, making sure that our economy is working, making sure that American citizens have full employment, making sure that American citizens are safe, making sure that people who live here and are American citizens and legal residents have quality education, and all of the things that are needed to have a functioning society is not selfish. Because if you are not able to provide that for the people who are supposed to be here, how can you provide it for the people who are not? Just because it is better, it could be ultimately dysfunctional, but some people believe, well, it's better than where they came from. Well, no, but it's worse for the people who actually live here. If you look in places, when you look at, and there's study after study that will show you that, look, if we aren't taking care of things at home first, then we wind up in a worse position, then American citizens wind up in a worse position. And then when we're in a worse position, we are in less of a position to be able to help other countries. We are the most generous country in the entire world. We give more in military aid, in humanitarian aid, in whatever kind of, you name it, we give it. And that's why in a lot of these deals where you have Axios is angry because it seems like we're just gaining ground and we're getting stuff and not giving, it's because many of these countries have been screwing us for years. And that's exactly what Donald Trump has said. In other words, for years, we allowed them to, like Europe in particular, we allowed them to tariff our goods following World War II because we wanted to help them rebuild their economy. Right? We wanted them. I mean, they were devastated from World War II. And that was following World War I. They hadn't even had a chance to fully recover from the First World War. And so we allowed them to tariff us. We allowed them to put almost nothing into their military while we provided a national defense. Well, now the European Union, as an economy, is on par. When I say on par, they're not as big as the United States, but they're up there. They're in the same neighborhood. Well, if they're going to be in the same neighborhood, then they shouldn't have tariffs. They shouldn't have the sort of tariffs and the sort of trade imbalances that they have against us. Now, I'm not saying that trade imbalance is necessarily a bad thing. It just means that we can afford to buy more of their stuff. That's okay. But when it's aided, when that trade deficit is aided because they have high tariffs, and all we're saying is, no, we want things to be a little bit more fair, then yeah, the deals are going to come out a little bit more in our favor. And y'all just, there's nothing wrong with that. If for years I have been paying for the maintenance on the fence with my neighbor because my neighbor didn't make that much money, now all of a sudden my neighbor has won the lottery, maybe, just maybe, they ought to start paying for some of the maintenance on that fence. Especially if they're earning more money than me, or at least as much. That's all the president is saying. That's all that is the result of many of these trade deals. Now, I get it. His language is a little bit bombastic. His language is a little bit, he's out there. He's definitely what's the word I'm looking for? He's definitely out there hyperbolic. That's the word I was looking for. He's definitely been a little hyperbolic, right? I get it. But he's also a salesman, and that's how you sell stuff. You don't sell stuff by not exaggerating or by underestimating. You do it by being, well, in some cases, hyperbolic. And that's what the president does sometimes. Anyway, all that having been said, we are improving our position. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with us improving. There's nothing wrong with us improving our position when it comes to trade deals. I don't have any issue with it. And I don't know why Axios does, except that, well, kind of as stated, they kind of see themselves as citizens of the world. And no, we're citizens of the United States of America. Let me be clear about this. We are citizens of the United States of America. We are not citizens of the world. We need to look out for America first. And as America prospers, there's that saying that a rising tide raises all boats. And that's the case here. So for those of you hating on America doing so well, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. You're just going to have to hate on America. But I know that what we're doing works. I know that America is blessed because of the values that we have. And trying to be like the rest of the world when the rest of the world wants to have what we have is just dumb. It really is. If we want to be like them, if you want to be like them, go there. It's real simple. Go there. Institute their values where they are. Go there. Because then you don't have to change the rest of us. You just go there, and living there will be better for you because you like those values. The problem is that you want the benefits of our values. You want the benefits of American values. You want the benefits of Western values. But you want to try and you believe that you can attain them with other values. And it just doesn't work like that. It never has. And as you change values, as we get away from the principles that made America what it is, we will continue to see a downsliding of America. And don't get me wrong, America is still, I would continue to say this, America is still the greatest place on the earth. It really is. But I will also say this, it's not headed the right direction. Anyway, how do we know that? Well, great example. 63% of Democrat voters have a negative opinion of, not of Democratic voters, of voters have a negative opinion of Democrats. This is a poll that was done by the Wall Street Journal. It's the Wall Street Journal poll. And it says here, 6 in 10 voters view Democrats negatively. The Democratic Party is viewed negatively by 63% of American voters, the lowest approval rating of a party in more than 30 years of the Wall Street Journal's surveys, according to a new poll from the newspaper. The survey found that while voters disapprove of President Trump's handling of a variety of issues, they generally said they trusted Republicans more than Democrats to take care of those issues in Congress. On tariffs, for instance, voters disapprove of Trump's policies by 17 percentage points, but trusted Republican lawmakers more than Democrats on the issue by 7 points. Only 8% of voters view Democrats very favorably in the poll. President Trump himself had an approval rating of 46%. The Wall Street Journal poll follows a survey from CNN released Thursday, which found just 28% of voters viewed Democrats favorably. Democrats are confronting widespread voter malaise and perceptions that the party is listless ahead of the 2026 midterms as key parts of the national infrastructure have been rocked by infighting. Now, I want you to understand this, and this is something that I think some of the folks who are saying, "Oh yeah, the Republicans." Here's something you need to understand. I don't know exactly what percent, but I know it's a significant percent of those people who view the Democratic Party unfavorably view it as unfavorably because they believe that the Democratic Party, is not left-wing enough. It's not progressive enough. It's not Marxist enough. So you got two different wings of the Democratic Party who don't like them. You've got the you definitely have the look, we just want to be normal. We're like, there are men and women, and you don't there are only two genders. We don't want porn in our children's school library. We want our borders secure. We actually want you to, enforce the law. We can't just keep spending money wildly. I mean, there are Democrats who believe these things, these very normal things, right? And they have been lumped into the conservative party, or the Republican Party, or lumped in because they dare believe these things, because they don't want to use pronouns, because they refuse to use the term Latinx, right? They disagree with Republicans on as much as they disagree with Democrats, but because they believe in things that were normal 6 years ago, they're now lumped in with us. And what they're realizing now, and what the 2024 election has been, is a wake-up call for them to say, no, we're not down with all this crazy stuff the Democratic Party is doing. Okay, so you got them. But then you've got the Marxists. You've got the whacked out leftists, like the guy that's the Democratic nominee for mayor in New York, or the Democratic nominee, the Democratic endorsed candidate for the mayor of Minneapolis, Minnesota. One dude, I can say this, the Marxist jihadist Muslim from Uganda, who happens to be Indian, as well as you've got the Somali current state senator, but running for mayor in Minneapolis. These guys are both devout Marxists, and they won't call it Marxism, but as has been pointed out by Martin Luther King Jr., a rose by any other name smells just as sweet in their eyes. They are Marxists. They are devout Marxists. All you have to do is listen to their policies. In any case, they are where the excitement is in the Democratic Party. And they're a small minority, but they are very upset with the Democratic Party. And the only people who seem to still be holding on to the Democratic Party are the diehard Trump haters, the ones who are severely suffering from Trump derangement syndrome, but, aren't exactly willing to be devout Marxists, or haven't woken up to reality, but they got Trump derangement syndrome, but they're not willing to cave in. They're not willing to become Marxists. They're the only ones who are holding out. Or the ones who are just they're stupid because they believe everything that's been told to them by the mainstream media. But it's just getting worse for the Democratic Party because they are not becoming more mainstream. And it's also the reason why you're seeing popularity within mainstream media with the mainstream media going down and down and down, because they are no longer in line with common sense, with the average person, the average voter in America. They're just not. They don't believe the things that we believe. And it is showing. It is definitely showing. Anyway, but that's what happens when you believe. But put it to you example. Give you an example. When you believe that ad campaigns when you believe that ad campaigns are, because they promote, I don't know, because it includes white people, because it promotes Americanism, you believe that it's Nazi, that would be an example. By the way, that's an example of someone suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. Anything that you don't like is about Nazis. But you have them who are taking ad campaigns, put out, for example, a new American Eagle ad campaign that's been put out by that features Sydney Sweeney. They're basically trying to say that it's Nazi propaganda. Here's an example of the sort of ads that they're saying are Nazi propaganda.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has great genes.
Yeah, so I get the play. I get what they're trying to say. Jeans, pun, ha ha ha. The whole point is American Eagle is a clothing company that is promoting in particular their jeans. And there are a series of commercials like this featuring Sydney Sweeney. In any case, let me read a little bit of the story here. It says leftist TikTok is in full pitchfork and torch mode after a new ad for American Eagle jeans featuring actress Sydney Sweeney used a play on words, with some claiming it's full-on Nazi propaganda. The ad features Sweeney, 27, clad in a pair of the brand's jeans and a denim jacket, talking about her jeans. We just saw the ad. I'm not going to repeat the ad for you, but anyway, it says the clip went viral after it was posted by a Sweeney fan account, but then the account later went private following backlash on Sunday. Another longer ad used the same punny tagline. I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans, and I definitely won't say they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do all that? She says in the 30-second spot. I'm assuming because it did. It was. Anyway, all that. Wait, but if you said that you want to buy jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American jeans. She said as the text Sydney Sweeney has great jeans appears on the screen in a voice a male voice in a male voiceover. The play comes on the play on hormone of jeans and jeans. Oh, I'm sorry, homophone. Wow, okay. Jeans was enough to trigger the woke mob, with many on the left interpreting it as a nod to eugenics, with some going as far as outright calling it Nazi propaganda. Uh, I thought it was going to be like kind of bad, but wow, this is kind of for the history books. One TikToker posted, "I will be the friend. I will be the friend that's too woke, but those Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ads are weird, like fascist weird, like Nazi propaganda weird." Another user with a septum piercing mused. Now, okay, first of all, let's just hit on a little bit of irony. Um, the people who promoted eugenics, that would be the left. That would be the progressives, in particular of the 1920s, the Woodrow Wilsons, the Margaret Sangers, the founder of Planned Parenthood, who Democrats and the left still praise today. I find this amazing because that they were called. I'm trying to remember the name of the organization. Before it was Planned Parenthood, they were literally something Center for Eugenics. I mean, the Planned Parenthood was created for population control, in particular, control population to discourage population growth amongst certain undesirable people. And now they're saying that that's what the Republicans are saying. I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying. The jokes are kind of funny. Now, the funny part is so what if it were a pretty black woman, right? What if it was Holly Berry? Hmm? What would y'all be saying now? Would you still be saying, "Oh, well, they're promoting Nazi eugenics"? Um, I'm trying to. I hate the fact that I am now at flummox trying to think of stars that don't have, because the problem is a lot of the female hip, in particular hip hop stars, have the fake badunkadunks, and yeah, no, I don't think American jeans are made for those. The brand, the brand American jeans are made for those, and not for the fake ones anyway. Anyway, I'm getting off topic now. Anyway, all that, folks, having been said, the very fact that you just literally have a company that, I mean, at least, I mean, the fact that they don't have some androgynous, non-binary person on there, the fact that they don't have someone who's incredibly overweight, obese, and when I say obese, I mean unhealthily obese, on there promoting the genes, is what really has them upset. If they don't have the abnormal promoting the genes, right? That bothers them because how dare you have a pretty attractive woman on there? That's un-American. And I'm like, no, that's about as American as you can get. I'm sorry, but it is. Anyway. All right, folks. So that's now going to bring us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, and get your hog holster today. All right. So we got. I think we got a couple of videos here, and we got. Oh, you know what? I forgot. I meant to play this one when we were talking about Trump winning, but I want to go ahead and play this one. This one is Bill Maher talking about his perspective on tariffs and how he was, well, wrong.
I remember along with probably most people, was saying at the beginning, oh, by the 4th of July, somebody had a thing how the country was, the economy was going to be tanked by then. And I was kind of like, well, that seems right to me. But that didn't happen. Now, it could happen tomorrow. I'm just saying that's reality. So let's work first from the reality of that, not from I just hate Donald Trump. Because that's boring and doesn't get us anywhere and leads you to dishonesty. Because the truth is, I don't know what his strategy is. But look, the stock market is at record highs. I know not everybody lives by the stock market, but I also drive around. I don't see a country in a depression at all. I see people out there just living their lives. And I would have thought, and I got to own it, that that these tariffs were going to fucking sink this economy by this time, and they didn't. So, how do we deal with that fact? Because that's the fact. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. A left winger talking about the facts. And once again, I will give credit. There are a lot of people on the left who are at least being intellectually honest. And what I appreciate about him right there is he's being intellectually honest. He's like, look, I don't know why. And those of us on the right, I'm going to tell you right now, anyone who knows anything about economics and economic policy will, or at least if they're intellectually honest, will tell you, the idea of the sweeping tariffs that President Trump was talking about are scary idea because no one anticipated that they would do well, that they would improve the economy. In many cases, the goal was, and I'll tell you that my perspective was, all right, he's going to do this. He's going to use these as a threat to negotiate preferential deals. And in most cases, that's what happened. In some cases, he's actually instituted them. And they've actually brought in some money. In fact, we had just had the first the first month where we actually had a surplus of revenue. In other words, we had more money coming in than we had going out in the federal government just in June. I can't say it was not the first time ever, but the first time in a very, very long while. Anyway, all that having been said, I always knew that his goal was not to fully implement and just tariff everything at 25%. I always knew that, in my opinion, it was a negotiating ploy. I didn't know that it would go this well, but it has. It was a strategy that I kind of understood. It's kind of like playing chicken with other countries with the economy, and it was risky. But so far, it appears to be working out. As we've got deals with India, we've got deals with Japan, we've got deals with, pretty sure we've done Vietnam and Indonesia, with the European Union, which is one of the large, probably, if you count the European Union as a whole, is probably the third largest economy. Literally only China is the only one left. And whatever happens, we're going to wind up with a more favorable deal, I believe, with China. But it appears to be working, and I don't understand why the left is so upset about it. Anyway, all right, this one here is in honor of the stabbing story, and it's all. But I'll just put it to you this way: if you've watched Dave Chappelle, you've probably seen this one before. But I also say this: I still remember this joke, and I did not see this joke going this way.
Kid while we was beating on him, reached in his waistband, pulled out a .22 caliber pistol. It was mayhem. Everybody started screaming, oh my God. Oh my God, he's got a gun. He's got a gun. And then I got scared. I was in the back, but I was scared because I knew that everybody that was with me was armed. Yes, if they had shot and killed this kid on stage at the Hollywood Bowl, like I paid to do, Travis. But Travis G'd up. Travis wrestled the gun out of the kid's hand, and then he took it like this and tried to chamber the round, and he couldn't. So he pulled the trigger, and it wasn't a gun. A knife blade popped out of the front. I guess this kid was gonna stab me. Some scary shit. So the next night, even though I didn't have a show, I said, I gotta get right back on stage. And I went and did a show, and someone in the audience screamed out, Dave, what happened with the attack? And I didn't know there was journalists in the room. All I said was that this nigga had a knife that I identified as a gun. I got 6 more weeks of bad press for that joke. I didn't even do nothing to this nigga. That was not right. That was not right.
Knife identifies as a gun. Oops. Oh, funny stuff, funny stuff. Okay, this last one here. I'm not into baseball. Mike is into baseball. I would have loved if he could have been on the program to kind of hear this one. But this was an interesting one because he talks a little bit about how the history of how the Indians came to be, the Cleveland Indians came to be the Cleveland Indians.
Big fan of Chief Wahoo. Do you know why they're called the Indians? I'm gonna nerd out. I love baseball. They were called the Cleveland Spiders, and then they had like the first ever Native American on the baseball team.
Oh wow!
And then they got like a second Native American. And they were the only team that had like 2 Native Americans. And so one of the guys on the Cleveland Spiders at the time goes, "Man, we should start calling ourselves the Cleveland Indians." He's like basically razzing his teammates. So they literally started calling them the Cleveland Indians. They changed the team name, and the original Chief Wahoo was actually. He looked a little less racist. He kind of looked like one of these Simpsons guys. He was like a yellow-faced Chief Wahoo. And then they had to like redo it because Native Americans and people were very upset. But look at the new one. They just gave him veneers, made him red. And also Chief Wahoo is supposed to mean like celebrating Indians. Like, Wahoo! We're celebrating. So it's all well-intentioned, I say. Like all the Indian stuff is pretty well-intentioned.
Anyway, I found that to be interesting, but needless to say, people saw it as racist or see it as racist, and they don't bother to look into the history because, facts really don't matter to the left. Anyway, I just found that to be interesting. I thought you folks would enjoy that. All right, folks, so that brings us to the end of our program. We're going to go ahead and oh, wait, hold on. I want to bring you, there were a couple here more that from the Babylon Bee that I had to share with you. Here's one. Wokeness defeated. American returns to the Christian roots of objectifying women to sell crap. Yes, that is actually very American. Remember, we are not a theocracy, but hey. Now, you might also know that, oh, no, I'm not using that one. Oh, no, here it is, down here. There's the one I'm looking for. You might also know that people are claiming that they're accusing Israel of genocide and of starving people, but they've actually provided millions in food a day, millions of pounds of food a day. And it says here, Israel botches genocide with millions in food aid. Yeah, anyway. All right, folks, so that brings us to the end of this program. But before we go, let's give one more quick shout out to our sponsors. We've got the folks over at Hitman Industries rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length at hitmanindustries.net. We've got the California Republican Assembly at cragop.org. If you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. That's helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, you can find all things tactical except the gun at uscombatgear.com. All right, folks, that's going to be it for today's program. We will see you, pretty soon, tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. Till then, y'all have fun, stay safe, and we will see you mañana.